All right, hey, welcome to the Playa Venao show, our lively recorded show that takes place in Playa Venao. Sitting next to me is Ben. My name is Mo, and we're in beautiful Playa Venao today.
Yeah.
Ben, tell the audience where we're at, like where in Playa Venao we are.
We are sitting at El Sitio, which I believe means the site, El Sitio. And El Sitio is a little bit of everything. They have long-term rentals that you can rent to live. They have short-term rentals. They have the hotel over here. They have this awesome lighthouse, which is a short-term rental. You can
stay in the lighthouse?
You can stay in the lighthouse, and right on the other side is the ocean. So then you can look out over the ocean. I mean, that's incredible,
that's pretty. I don't know too much about their accommodations, but I have eaten at the restaurant, and it's fantastic.
Amazing food. Kids love it.
And when we interviewed John from Casa Venao, this was the spot that he said that he was dancing on the dance floor.
Oh, yeah.
And he had the revelation that I think we're going to move to Playa Venao.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, I think we're going to move to Panama. But this was the spot where the dance floor was.
That's right.
That hooked them.
Yeah, that's right. They have awesome DJs here, usually on the weekends around like dinner time, like sunset. So you can enjoy your meal and listen to a cool DJ. I think it like picks up as the night goes on.
Right.
But yeah, this is a really awesome spot to kind of, they have these like cushions just outside the beach that you can kind of sit on and just sink yourself into.
Listen to music.
Watching the people surf.
Have some beverages.
It's pretty relaxing. Yeah. It's a nice spot. So this is El Sitio. Definitely check them out. It's like the center of Venao, almost in a sense. When you come to Playa Venao, there's lots to do. They have the surf shop here, so you can also rent surfboards, go surfing.
Yeah, that's cool.
They're kind of the whole deal right here. Yeah.
They got this big, beautiful tree that we get a broadcast under, which
gives us some nice shade for the day.
I love.
That's right.
Oh, that's good. So, how was your weekend? How was your weekend in Venao?
Our weekend was windy.
Was it? Yeah,
Personally, we have a little spot in Cañas, which is about 15 minutes that way. And yeah, the winds were blowing down fences and things like that. So we kind of had to go see to that this weekend. So
that's right. Yeah.
This weekend wasn't as relaxing as a beach town weekend should be for us. But
right.
That's right. What about you?
It kept you busy. I had an amazing weekend.
Yeah.
I had an absolutely amazing weekend.
Awesome.
Because my wife's in town. Charlie's mom's in town. They're the same person. That would have been funny, like if like two different.
Yeah.
My wife's in town, Charlie's mom's in town, and they love each other. No, I'm just kidding. No, but,
hey, it works.
No, but she's off camera right now, laughing at me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, hi. Okay, so no, it was awesome. Like she's visiting in town, and she wanted to do ice baths. This trip.
How did that go?
It's gone great. We've done 3 days in a row.
Man.
And I've kept on doing them since, before, but she's on her third day in a row. And she suffers from lymphedema a little bit, but she said that the ice bath has just made her feel amazing. Over the course of these 3 times. So that's been really fun to experience with her. We went snorkeling at Playa yesterday.
Amazing.
That's Monday, but I guess that would not really the weekend. But yeah, we decided to go snorkeling at Playa on Monday because nobody was down there, and it was gorgeous.
It's like you had the beach to yourself.
Completely, we totally had the beach to ourselves. And then when we were walking out of Playa, we heard the howler monkeys making these crazy loud guttural ruh, 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 ruh. And lo and behold, we looked up in a tree. We saw this awesome howler monkey that was hanging out in the tree. It was a male.
Nice.
So he got expelled from the troop. He seemed like he was a little bit blue. But yeah, we got to see some really cool howler monkeys.
Awesome.
At the end of the beach trip.
I was told that they don't like the wind. So when the wind gusts, they start to do the ooh, 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 because they're kind of pissed off at the wind.
They were loud.
Apparently. I don't know if that's true or not, but
this guy was loud. And the guy that got put in timeout because there was like this monkey that was off by himself. He got put in timeout, and he was sad. Like, he had a look on his face of, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
They don't want me hanging out over there. So, I don't know. Maybe he's out of timeout.
Monkey
now,
trouble.
So that's good.
It.
But Anyway, today on the show, we have a very special guest.
Yes.
I'm not gonna hint at where I met the guest first because I'll let her talk about it. But she will also tell us a little bit about El Sitio and some of the music at El Sitio and whatnot. And I'm excited to talk with her because she is Panamanian, but she's lived all over the world, and she decided to plant her flag here, raise her kids here, and I can't wait to hear what her perspective is on living in Playa Venao.
Yeah.
So when we get back, we're going to be talking to Sarah Spalding, a resident of Playa Venao, and a person of many, many, many talents. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel even comfortable describing it because I want to get her to talk about it on the air a little bit.
Right.
So anyway, so that's what's coming up next, and I guess stay tuned.
Yes, we'll be back.
We'll be back. Okay, guys, and we are back. And I would like to introduce you to one of the first people I met when I moved to Panama. Everybody, this is Sarah Spalding.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. Now, Sarah, when we first met, I thought that you were North American. Mm-hmm. Can you tell the audience how we met, where we met?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we met at the surf dojo, which is down that way, where both of our kids were taking surf lessons.
Yes, that's right.
And Mo approached me and asked me if I had superpowers, basically.
I thought that Sarah had superpowers, and this. So
it's pretty funny.
It was pretty funny because, like, you were standing there and you were like really focused on the skyline, looking out at the beach. I could kind of tell that you meditated a little bit. You kind of had that aura of meditation, and I was always curious. I wanted to meet people that can read people's auras. Mm-hmm. I read about it in a book, like one of the characters that I've been one of the characters that I followed, she could read auras in people in colors. And it just so happens that my wife and I know her best friend from childhood. Her mother can read auras. Mm-hmm. And she read my wife's aura one time, and it's kind of a crazy story, but she said, hey, you're gonna have some troubles coming up, but after those troubles, you're gonna have an amazing life. Mm-hmm. And she was absolutely correct. Like, she had some pretty gnarly troubles, but then after that, got sorted out. Mm-hmm. It's been an amazing life so far. So that's why I thought maybe you had some of those superpowers, but you told me that you didn't.
No.
But what you did tell me is that you are a linguist.
Well, I speak several languages, and I'm a professional translator and simultaneous interpreter.
So if somebody's giving are you like one of the people in the UN that have the mm-hmm. like the headphones on, yes, and you can translate while a
yes,
speech?
I can verbally translate live as somebody speaks. I speak simultaneously into the other language. So I do English and Spanish, basically. I also speak French and Italian, but I only work for simultaneous interpreting English and Spanish.
And you can do both English and Spanish the same way, like inside and outside.
So, like, if you're speaking in English, I can go into Spanish. And if you randomly switch to Spanish, then I will just switch to English.
Wow. And you can go in and out like that fast?
Yes.
That hurts my brain.
I know.
Yeah.
I feel the exact same way, because even if I'm ordering a cup of coffee, I'm like, leche? No con leche. Yeah.
Well, you know what's funny is that I can do this, right? I've done it for the UN. I've done it for, quite a wide range of clients and topics and themes. But if you randomly ask me, like, how do you say chair in Spanish? I might get stuck. Because I'll be like, okay, chair is pretty obvious, but like something tiny bit less obvious or something quite obvious, I will get stuck. So it's weird. Like when I'm on work mode, I'm in work mode. But when I'm not in work mode, my brain's like, I don't need to do that. So it doesn't do it.
So you just get in that state of flow, that state of language flow.
Yeah.
And it just,
Yeah.
you're able to. So how, like, what is that? Like, what do you have to do to warm up for that? Or
That's
do
a
you
really
have
good
to
question.
warm up for
I
that?
don't, but I think I'm just like naturally skilled at this. Like it's like there's a switch in my brain
Uh-huh.
that does it, basically. And I don't really I have to be well rested.
Okay.
I must be well rested. It's the only thing. If I'm not well rested, my brain it's a lot harder. And so like if somebody's speaking slowly and clearly, I can be interpreting and chatting on my phone at the same time.
Really?
But if somebody's like something super technical and talking really fast, I have to stand up and like move my arms and imitate the body language of the person.
Wow.
Otherwise, I can't keep up.
Yeah.
So there's a really wide range of like demands, and usually I can interpret for like a 3-day conference or a 4-day conference, and then you'll ask me what it's about and I don't know.
Your brain was just on.
It just goes through. It doesn't stay. There's no time for the information to stay.
So
it
you're just
passes through.
Wow. So you're just regurgitating.
Basically,
yeah.
in another language.
Right. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. That is so. That's so fascinating.
It's weird.
Yeah.
So how
weird.
long can you like? How long can you like? For instance, if I'm teaching a class, I can teach for about an hour before I need to take a break because I need to wet my whistle.
Yeah.
Have to be able to breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Like how long can you interpret and be effective? Like what's the without?
So the UN standard is 20-30 minutes, max. So usually you work with a partner. So you do like, so I'll do 20 minutes and then it's you. I'll do 30 minutes and then it's over to you, and you do 30 minutes and we take turns like that. Since the pandemic and like so many things moving online, like so many meetings happening on Zoom, I've interpreted up to 2 hours by myself.
Really?
But that's challenging. It's like really challenging because you have a ton of people talking, and they all take turns, but I don't take turns. So I don't get a chance to drink water. I don't get a chance to have a breath. Like I breathe, but there's no breaks. So that's the absolute maximum. And it does depend on the topic. Like for some topics, there's no way I can do 2 hours.
Gotcha.
And for other topics, I can.
Okay.
But the industry standard, I think actually UN is 20 minutes.
So if the UN, and I don't know hardly anything about the United Nations. I'm embarrassed to say that. So how many interpreters would they then? It sounds to me like they would employ thousands of interpreters almost, potentially, or
I mean, they
or
definitely
hundreds.
have. I think there's like the in-house UN interpreters, and that's a very select crew, and it's really hard to get in there.
Right.
And then when they have like, I mean, I've worked for a bunch of UN agencies, but I'm not a UN interpreter.
Gotcha.
So they outsource a lot.
Okay.
Outside.
And I'm sure governments bring their own interpreters
Yeah,
in
I mean,
too
probably.
sometimes.
So I think like the UN standard in Geneva, in New York, is 20 minutes for a UN, and they have a whole, like, they're very organized, and like if you can only work 6 hours, and when the 6 hours are up, they turn the mics off and walk out. Like if your meeting goes over, they don't care.
Wow.
They're done and they're
Yeah.
out. I don't work like that. We kind of just stay and do our thing. It's probably also because I work in Panama mostly, and standards and expectations of what people in third world countries are supposed to do are somewhat different,
Gotcha. Okay.
for better or for worse.
Right. This doesn't feel like a third world country to me. It feels like a very. It doesn't feel like. It feels like a very smart country to me. But that's my 2-year impression.
I mean, developing country is the more PC term, I think.
I think developing. Yeah, definitely developing. It's definitely developing. So, what language is your preferred? Because I only speak English with you. Because you're very generous with me and you don't hit me over the head for not learning Spanish as fast as I need to be learning Spanish. But what language do you speak in most of the time in your day-to-day? Or how is that broken
Living here,
down?
English.
Living
Living here, English.
In Venao?
Yeah, because there's such an expat community, and most of the people I interact with are English speakers. I speak some Spanish, but I mean, I'm one of those rare people that's 100% bilingual English-Spanish. Like both English and Spanish are my mother tongue, both of them.
And your parents are?
My dad's Panamanian,
Okay.
of Caribbean, Jamaican descent,
Okay.
and my mom is British.
Oh, okay. And does your mom speak Spanish?
Yes, perfect Spanish.
Perfect Spanish. So, a couple other quick questions. And I'm sorry, I'm just peppering you with all these questions, but I want to think about them while they're fresh in my head. I don't want to lose them. What do you dream in? Like, what language?
know.
You don't know what, like, okay.
I don't know. It's probably English or Spanish. I mean, I also speak fluent French,
Okay.
and I speak pretty good Italian, but I don't think I dream in either one of those languages. But like English and Spanish, they're so interchangeable that I can see something in Spanish and read it in Spanish and know that it's actually originally written in English, and I'll remember it in English.
Wow.
You know, like,
That's-
you know when you
yeah.
can read something, you can tell that it's been translated. I know what it originally was, if it's English or Spanish, and I'll remember it in the original language.
So you can tell if something's been translated by a Spanish speaker versus an English speaker that's trying to.
I can tell when something's been translated
Okay.
because you can, I mean, not always, but so oftentimes things are written in a way that you're like, that's not right. It's not wrong,
Right.
but you can tell what it was supposed to say in English.
That's wild.
You know?
That is what. So have you read? So obviously you've read books in English and Spanish.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference on what?
I like
What-
reading in English more.
Okay. Have you read books in French?
A few. A few.
And it's still English is.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
there a reason for that? I mean, is it because of Hollywood and movie making, or is there? I mean, I'm just curious, like why? Because there's some pretty amazing French and Spanish authors too.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a combination of, I grew up with an English mom, so I grew up reading in English. Like, it's the stuff that, like, from the nursery rhymes, from the children's books, from the children's stories, it was all in English. And then when we went to look for material in Spanish, it wasn't all that good. It was too square. Like, the children's books in Spanish that I found, like, the novels were kind of just, either it's like old Spanish, which is hard to understand, or just sort of boring. And the other thing is Panama doesn't really produce much literature,
Okay.
hardly anything. So then you have to buy books that were written in Mexico
Okay.
or written in Colombia. And Colombians speak differently than Panamanians, and Mexicans speak differently than Panamanians. So then
We-
you're reading Mexican. It's still Spanish, you can understand it, but it just reads weird. Whereas the English is a lot more standard.
Sure. Ben and I struggle with this, with him being Canadian, me being American. You know, our English is all over the board. You know.
It's funny.
Yeah. Let me go grab my toque.
I mean, you know, UK and American English is very different.
Very different.
But
Wildly different.
in writing, I guess you can tell, but it's not that different. Although I do know, for example, with Harry Potter, that the original title of the first book is Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah.
But in the US, it's Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. So they did tweak language for something like that.
For purposes of
Yeah.
marketing
Yeah.
of some sort.
Yeah.
For all you Harry Potter fans.
Yeah.
I'm a Harry Potter
Me too.
fan.
I love Harry Potter.
I have 3 cats and they're named after Harry Potter characters. So if you're like, who named them? The kids? I'm like, sort of, not really.
Oh, that's great. So you're also a mom.
I'm a mom.
You're raising kids in Panama. Are they bilingual
No.
as well? Like, can they?
They speak Spanish, but their Spanish is not perfect. Long story short, I grew up speaking English at home, but I grew up in Panama, born and raised. All my life was in Spanish, except for at home.
Uh-huh.
So that's how I became bilingual. My school was in Spanish. None of my friends spoke English. My life was all in Spanish, except for at home. So when I had kids here, I figured I'll do the same.
Right.
We'll speak English at home, and that way their English will be really good, and their life will be in Spanish. But I didn't realize the whole expat phenomenon. That's not something that existed when I was growing up here.
Right.
I know it existed other places, but I did not really grasp that concept. And so in the end, my kids speak English at home and English outside the home, because their school is in English and all their friends speak English. They have very little contact with Spanish speakers.
I thought that they spoke pretty good Spanish. Like when
It's relative, right?
Well,
it's better than yours.
It's better than mine.
I mean,
yeah.
no offense or anything,
Yeah,
right?
none taken.
But
Yeah.
it's not good Spanish.
Yeah, it's
So Gustav can get away with. He can communicate pretty well. My son, who's 15,
Uh-huh.
but my daughter, who's 11. I mean, fine. I've been making an effort to speak to them in Spanish, so they can both understand when I speak fast Panameño Spanish, which is already a good thing.
yeah.
But my daughter will answer in English,
Gotcha.
and her Spanish has got all like the gender, like article, noun agreements that you're supposed to have are way off, and the verbs are all off, and they sound like Americans
Gotcha.
in Spanish.
Okay. So we all need to get.
Which is kind of embarrassing because like they're Panamanian with a Panamanian mom,
Yeah.
and their Spanish is awful. But there you have it.
You made me feel a little bit better about myself because I had every intention of being better in speaking Spanish with my son than what we're at now.
It's hard.
It is hard because everybody is working on their English here.
Yeah.
And we all want to get to our next thing, our next activity,
Yeah.
our next job, our next event, our next social engagement. And English is the fastest way there,
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
sadly. And I really wish my Spanish was better. So
Yeah, it's hard. I
would love a friend of the show to take me under their wing and say, Terry, we will give you Spanish lessons. You will learn Spanish
I
like a
wonder who that
Panamanian.
could be.
I'll take anybody. If you're out there watching the show and you're like, oh, your Spanish is cringeworthy, Mo, let me teach you. I will be your student. I will happily be your student. So, okay. So our kids, they went to the surf dojo.
Yes.
Were your kids happy with the surf dojo surfing there?
Yes. Yes.
Charlie had a blast.
Yeah, they both really, really loved it. And my daughter still trains there.
Yeah?
And my son now is he started to train with a Panamanian guy at the surf factory.
Oh, okay.
Agustin Cedeño, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's like on the Panamanian surf team, and he's an amazing surfer.
He's outrageous. He is awesome.
He's really good. And I've known him since he was a little kid.
Yeah.
And his mom. So like, I've got pictures of Agustin probably like 6 years old carrying Gustav of like 8 months old. So it's super cute. And now Gustav's like a head and a half taller than Agustin.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cute. So he's training with him now, and he's become really good.
My wife took a lesson with Augustine.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right before she went back and started working on her diagnosis. But yeah, it was a great surf lesson with Augustine, and he made such a positive impression on us from a surfing standpoint. That was, again, part of the big reason why we wanted to get Charlie down here and enrolled in a surf school.
He's a good kid. He's a good kid. And like, because of this massive wave of expats here, there's not many Panamanians in Venao at all. And certainly not like owning businesses and running things.
Yeah.
And he's one of the few who has a business that's his, right on the beach, right in front of the point. It's him and his mom, and like there's a group of Panamanians, that really good surfers that gravitate around the surf factory. And I think that's cool because there's not really much of a Panamanian presence here.
Yeah, and that's such a cool spot to hang out too.
Yeah.
Like over by the surf factory in Rubens. I'll sometimes park my car there, set up my hammock because there's a giant tree there.
Yeah.
And it's just a beautiful spot to just rest up, or if that's where you want to surf from. I mean, the entry point to the beach is phenomenal there.
Yeah.
So, I have to thank Gustav through you, because Gustav was there on the day that Charlie lost his board in the surf, and Gustav went and got Charlie's board while the other kids went and got Charlie so he didn't drown. So again, shout out to the surf dojo for teaching kids what to do if there's an emergency in the water, because when they told me the story, my face just dropped. I was like, oh my gosh. And the kids were like, no, we solved the problem together. There's no cause for panic. There's no cause for alarm. Don't worry, Dad. Don't turn into a helicopter, Dad. We did it, Dad. It's gonna be okay. And they all just jumped into the situation.
Yeah.
So thank you for raising an amazing, beautiful, strong boy and girl. I mean, they're really, really great kids.
Just the vessel.
So was it tough teaching your kids English, or I guess it was just kind of was it a natural progression because you guys were speaking English in the home, or?
It's their mother tongue. I didn't teach them English. It's just what they spoke. It's as if they'd grown up. It's like, was it hard to teach your kids English?
I don't know, I guess.
Maybe. It is. Yeah, the whole talking thing can be challenging. But yeah, same. It's as if they grew up in a English-speaking country. That's how they learn English. It's harder to teach them Spanish.
Really? So when you got into, I guess I want to transition into your books, because you wrote, you have a series of books too. So
yes.
Was having kids the idea to write the books, or was the books an outcome of the kids? Like,
no, the books came about in my early 20s when I was looking to see what I wanted to do with my life. And I bought this book called Zen and the Art of Making a Living. And I did all the practices and the thing, and one morning I just woke up, I was like, I got it. I am going to write a series of children's books. And yeah, and that's gonna have a main character, and that character is gonna travel around the world and show small kids, picture books, 3 to 5 year olds, show kids the world. And so that was over 20 years ago, and it's taken a while to make it happen.
It's a great idea, though.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And so basically, we have the character. He's an owl. His name is Oli the owl.
Awesome.
And I mean, so this is pre-kids. And it had a whole evolution. At one point, it was a cat. It was a curious cat. But then we figured it was good to have a flying creature. So anyway, we have the owl. And all the books begin with the same line. It says, in the olden days, people would say, if an owl hooted 5 times, they'd travel that day. So if you listen and watch with your eyes open wide, I'll show you the world. I'll be your guide.
Wow.
oh, that's great.
Super cool.
And so it's written in rhyme, obviously.
Yeah.
The whole book is, all the books will be written in rhyme. And that line will be the first line in all of the books.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so it had nothing to do with having kids. Then I had kids, but the funny thing is they've totally outgrown my target group, and I still don't really have the books out, but it's okay. There's more 3 to 5 year olds out there, thankfully. So that's cool.
And they're coming.
And they're coming. There's more coming.
Right.
So yeah, and actually, basically, I did one finally after an interesting health adventure that I had that we may or may not get into. At one point, I had breast cancer, and at one point, towards the end of the treatment, I found a big lump in my armpit, and I was like, oh God, maybe it's back, you know? And I remember thinking, like, okay, so what if it is? And I've got 1 year to live. What do I want to do in that year? Like, what would I feel like, okay, I've accomplished, I've had a good life. I'm in my early 40s, it's kind of young, but done a bunch of stuff. What would I want to be like? I completed this thing. And I was like, I want to get that book. It's actually a series, but let me just start.
Yeah.
So I got the first book out. So it's done. You can buy it on Amazon.
Oh, fantastic.
It's called Oli Shows Barcelona.
Okay.
I'm totally getting it for the kids.
Yeah, it's cute. It's really cute. I mean, I'm now kind of back to square one because I wasn't fully on board with the style of the illustration. And then actually, weirdly, sadly, as life is, the woman who illustrated it, who did it from the goodness of her heart, because I didn't have any money, so she illustrated this amazing art creation. She passed away last year of cancer. But super fast. Elena is her name. An amazing. I met her in Pedasi.
Oh, really? Wow.
Actually, which is pretty funny. She had a restaurant, an Italian restaurant in Pedasi. Turned out she was also a vet, and turned out she was also an illustrator. I didn't know all those things when I met her exactly.
Yeah.
But anyway, so she was part of allowing this creation to come to light, and I'm forever grateful to her for that. But now I'm kind of back to the drawing board because I need to get. The whole idea is to do a series.
Yeah.
And it needs to have the same aesthetic and the continuity in terms of the way it looks.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for an illustrator. So if you guys know of an illustrator.
Shopping for an illustrator, if there's
Yes.
any illustrators out there.
Yes.
People that want their works done, contact us at the show.
And I just recently, like within the past few days, got an angel investor for this project.
Nice.
So I have a little bit of money that I can actually pay an illustrator.
Oh, that's
which
brilliant.
is, so that's super exciting.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Super, super, super exciting.
And I think that with your language background, I mean, this is just a natural progression for who you are and what you do to be able to work this in different languages. I mean, it just seems...
You know what's interesting, though? Because, I have all these languages. And so I'm a translator, and I've been translating for the past 20 years. But more and more, I have this understanding that, translators, interpreters are a bridge, right? You connect people between the two languages and you allow them to communicate. But what I've come to understand is that I'm a bridge, not necessarily just between languages. I'm a bridge between cultures. I'm a bridge between concepts. I'm a bridge between, like, for example, I don't know, I'm also a health coach. I'm a bridge between, like, your health issue and an understanding of how to reach health. I'm that bridge that
the bridge
connects.
of understanding, almost. Like, you're the bridge of understanding that brings...
That connects.
Yeah.
I'm a connector. So the language is the more obvious one. Like, you don't speak Spanish, I speak Spanish, I'll do the translating. But I'm also a bridge in so many other arenas.
Yeah.
And so the language thing, although it comes to me naturally, was never a passion that I pursued. It just happened.
Right.
And so it's like, oh, now I'm translating again. Okay, this is
But
not what I
that's a
wanted to be
major
doing.
skill set in your toolbox.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. But the
Right.
books, for example, I don't even know if I am going to translate them because they're written in rhyme.
Ah.
It's not so easy to translate rhyme.
Yeah.
It's true.
You know that kid's book, Goodnight Moon? It's like it's a classic.
Yeah, everybody knows Goodnight Moon.
Right, and that's in rhyme.
Yeah.
It exists in Spanish. It's not in rhyme. It's like, oh, this is lame.
Gotcha.
And I think this series, because it's in rhyme, it's in English, is a very powerful tool to teach English.
Yes.
For English as a second language, because it's a picture book, it's written in rhyme. Rhyme is a very powerful way to introduce language in general, whether you're learning English as a second language or it's your first language and you're a baby. So reading in rhyme helps, like the sing-songness of it helps to develop the brain along with language.
Yes.
So I think at least the first phases of this project, it's just going to stick in English.
Yeah.
Because to translate it into Spanish and to keep the rhyme is basically rewriting.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
So I'm not saying it's a no,
Yeah.
but for now I'm much more interested in actually making it a series in English, and I feel that the contribution it has in English is pretty solid.
And there's such it seems to me, and again, we had a little bit of a wind thing happening right now, so I'm just pausing. But it seems to me that there is an appetite in the Spanish world to learn English, to definitely learn English. Like I noticed that appetite, and maybe it's just maybe I just feel that way because I live in Panama, but it just feels like there's a definite appetite to learn Spanish in some
To learn English.
in some Spanish.
I mean, it's global.
Yeah.
It's global because it is the language that connects everybody. You know that?
Yeah.
You know there was at one point this drive to create a neutral language that would be the Esperanto, I think it was called. It's a Latin-based.
Oh, really?
And it was like artificially created so that it wouldn't be English, it wouldn't be Spanish, it wouldn't be French. Because like, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, the international language was French. Like the language of diplomacy, and like the aristocrats or like the royals or whatever, they communicated all in French. The Russians, the English, the Germans, they all communicated in French. Maybe German was also a powerful language, but English is now clearly the language that you communicate if you're from Germany. I mean, here, we see it here. There's people from all over the place, from Israel, from the US, from Canada, from France, from Belgium, from
Yes.
Brazil, everybody speaks English. So I was actually doing some research. I think, if I remember correctly, 1.5 billion people in the world speak English. Not as a native language,
Right.
but as the language to communicate in.
Huh.
So there's a huge drive to learn English
Yeah.
because it's the language that allows you to communicate. It's the language people do business in.
Yeah.
And there's a bunch of big countries where it is an official language. There's a bunch of countries where English is an official language.
Yeah.
The U.S. and Canada. Well, Canada has 2 official languages, right? Because
Yes.
French. But like, you know, England, it's only English. U.S. is only English. But like all
Yeah.
African countries that speak English,
It's
it's English and a bunch of other local.
and French. A lot of French.
Some of them have French, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, and the other thing about this particular kids' book project is that the underlying premise of the thing is to foster a culture of peace.
I think that's, yeah.
That's the basic thing, which is also in the current global scenario really pulling at my heart
Yeah.
to make this thing come out. Not that I think that me publishing some books is going to shift these harsh realities that are being experienced right now overnight. Not by any means. I'm not that naive. But I just know, like, there's a whole movement of education for peace.
I completely agree.
And the basic premise of, like, you will care only for what you know, and you will only know what you're taught. And so so I just have this deep sense, like, if you from the age of 3 are reading about how children in France are weird and different from you, but they all play and they all like sandwiches and they all like to do cartwheels.
Yeah.
And kids in Sri Lanka also, they might look real different, but they still play, and their houses are different and they wear different clothes, but they eat. And they like to snuggle with their mom.
Yeah.
And they have
like fruit.
dogs.
Yeah,
like whatever
exactly.
it is, like how we're all really different, and like to really highlight those differences, but that fundamentally
Yeah.
we're all the same. I strongly believe that then when you're 30, 40, whatever, it's going to be a lot harder for you to, with any type of alignment within yourself, to go and want to destroy.
Yeah.
Or feel a calling to destroy, because somewhere inside of you, you will understand that they're like you.
Yeah, that those folks have a mother. They also want dinner. They also want to be able to, you know, hug their kids and feed their kids and all that. That's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome that that's what you're grounding your books in. I
So
think
yeah,
that's
that's
super
the.
important.
So I mean, it's a cute book, and it's in
Yeah.
rhyme, and it's like touristy because you
Yeah.
go to the Eiffel Tower if you're in Paris, or you go to Big Ben if you're in London, you go to the
Yeah.
Panama Canal if you're in Panama.
Yeah.
So it's like a touristy thing, but the underlying thing is
That's awesome.
we're all the same.
Yeah. So how
We're
many
all
countries?
humans.
I don't mean to cut you off there.
No,
I didn't.
no,
Sorry,
no,
I got
no, it's
I got
all
too
good.
excited with this
Yeah.
question.
I
and-
think we're done with Oli for now.
No, but this leads me to this question, and I ask a lot of people that come on the shows. How many countries have you lived in? Like, how many countries have you lived in for, say, over 60 days?
Lived in, so not that many. I mean, I lived in Panama, obviously. I was born and raised here. I went to college in the U.S.
Okay, so that's 2.
That's 2. I lived in France for a year.
Okay, that's 3.
I lived in Spain for a while,
That's 4.
like several years.
Okay, so that's 4.
Italy, definitely more than 60 days. I spent like
Okay.
several months there.
5.
Costa Rica.
6.
Yeah. I think that's it.
And did you? So, what are the common denominators between those 6 spots? Probably a lot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, the common denominators. I think most places I went, an appreciation for food.
Yeah, I would have guessed that for sure.
An appreciation for food.
Yeah.
A desire for connection. Like everybody wants to connect
Yeah,
in different ways. You know,
Yeah.
like American culture is very different from French culture.
yeah,
And I was in Spain, but I was mostly in Barcelona, and Barcelona is Catalunya. the Catalans are very particular culture. They're
Okay.
not very open to outsiders.
Wow.
At all.
So you were living in pretty diverse environments too, because
Yeah.
what I'm hearing is not like Playa Venao. I'm like
No.
more metropolitan.
Yes, metropolitan and also full immersion. Like when I lived in Paris, I lived with a French family.
Wow.
And I lived in their home and ate what they ate, and I kept their hours. I mean, they weren't strict about coming home at a certain time, but like just respecting, just me respecting their way of living, you know?
Yeah.
So it was definitely like, it was a French life
Yeah.
for a year, for sure.
In the city.
In Paris.
Wow.
It was amazing.
I get why you kind of write these children's books then, because like we're all kind of the same. Like there's many things that make us different,
Yeah.
but there's way more things
Way
that make
more.
us the same. We all have red blood. We all eat food. We all need water.
Yeah.
We all need love. We all need acceptance.
Everybody loves their kids.
Yeah.
Like, everybody loves their kids.
Yeah, everybody wants to go to work and not have to deal with a whole bunch of garbage at work, you know?
Yeah. Like, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, that's wild. Oh, that's so cool. So what was your favorite place to live? Or is this your favorite spot?
So that's a really good question. For years, I thought I wanted to go back to Ibiza.
Yeah?
Ibiza is this island south of Spain in the Mediterranean.
Is
That-
that the, I took a pill in a bee, so that's
Maybe,
Yeah.
yeah. It's famous for its party scene.
Okay, that's
It's
what
super famous for its party scene.
Yeah.
I actually never partied there, but because I'm not a big partier.
Yeah.
But that's what it's most famous for. And I really, really loved it there because it was like this sort of alternative lifestyle and very much nature based.
Uh-huh.
But you could be in 45 minutes in Paris or London, and it was a very cosmopolitan group of people.
Ah.
And I also lived like in the countryside, like it's really remote place. This is not a big island, but I was kind of remote from where the center is. And the locals still look like something out of a postcard from the 19th century.
Wow.
So it's so weird that you're like,
Yeah.
you have this local woman who's like short with like the scarf over her head and like herding her sheep. And then 20 minutes later, you're in downtown Ibiza with like people from all over Europe who've traveled all over the world and like super cosmopolitan.
Wow, wow.
So, but in a way, it was my first taste of a little bit of what we have here now,
Yeah.
which did not exist in Panama 20 years ago at all.
So this was...
In fact, it didn't even exist here in Venao 10 years ago.
Wow. So this is a new... the experiment that's happening in Playa Venao here is completely new.
I mean, I think it's happening in other places. Like I think somewhere like Ibiza, it's been happening
Yeah.
for
But
50 years.
for
But
this
for
location.
here, but for this location, it's brand new. Oh yes, it's
Wow.
completely new. And then I lived in Costa Rica in an amazing intentional community, and I really loved that.
Yeah.
That was spectacular.
But that was more nature. That was...
It was nature, but it was also people from all over the world.
Wow.
So I think for me, what worked there was that the nature felt very much like home, but then the people was a super fun mix of people from all over the world.
Yeah.
Which makes me sound like I don't want to hang out with Panamanians. And that's I mean, I love Panamanians. And it's a very particular culture.
Right.
And there is one of the Panamanian slogans is Puente del Mundo, Corazón del Universo, which means bridge of the world, heart of the universe. And Panamanians genuinely think that that's what Panama is.
Wow.
And that that's what we are. And I'm like, yo, there's only 4 million of us. Nobody even knows where we are.
Yeah.
We are not the center of the universe.
It feels like
We're
the
just
center of my
not.
universe. I will let Panama be the center of my universe for as long as it wants to. I mean, I am having a love affair with Panama right now.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely an interesting place. I think it would be really interesting here if there was more integration.
Yeah.
Like, I find myself, like, the other day I was hanging out with my group of friends and I was like, oh my gosh, there's almost half Panamanians in this gathering. That never happens in Playa Venao, ever. It's usually often predominantly Israeli.
Uh-huh.
And if not so, then definitely predominantly foreigners. Like I'm
Right.
often the only Panamanian.
Wow.
And suddenly I found myself at like a dinner, a gathering thing, and I was like, there's a bunch of Panamanians here.
Yeah.
This is cool.
that's cool.
Yeah.
So yeah. Yeah.
That's
So I
cool.
think, and I mean, going back to your question, I think right now there's nowhere else I would rather live.
Wow. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, like right now there's nowhere else.
Yeah.
I loved Europe, and
Yeah.
I love a lot of the things and the lifestyle of living in Europe. But I feel that with the global scenario right now,
Yeah.
it's being in the middle of fucking nowhere, excuse my French,
No.
is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
That it feels right to
It's a
me.
pretty special spot.
It feels
Yeah.
right to me. And I'm also experiencing, I mean, you guys are here, like, there's just more and more interesting and conscious minded people gravitating towards
Yeah.
this place. And I'm very much, I mean, I'm super spiritual. I'm into meditation. I'm into yoga. I'm into personal growth. It's what I do, it's my
Yeah.
passion. So it's almost like necessary for me to
Yeah.
be with other people who share those values and
Yeah.
those views. And that's happening here more and more.
Well, I think for cancer recovery, it's crucial. It's
Yes.
absolutely crucial, just for
Yes.
your wellness, your long-term wellness. So, what are you doing now? Like, what are you doing now as for your career? What are you doing now to feed your soul,
So, well, to feed my soul
or to feed your bowl?
or to feed my kids
Yeah,
and my belly.
you're right.
I mean, I think to feed my soul, just the fact that I live here.
Yeah,
And I look up at the moon and I know when it's a full moon and when it's a new moon because I can see it, and not because I looked it up. And I look at the stars and I look at the ocean and I just remember that we're on a little rock hurtling through space,
yeah,
and it's kind of miraculous that any of this is here, and it just relativizes anything and everything that's going on in my life. So that's what I do to feed. And I meditate,
Yeah.
and I connect with my friends and with my community,
yeah.
and I spend time with my kids who are awesome.
Kids are
So
awesome.
They are.
so that's what I do to feed my soul.
Yeah.
And to pay rent and to feed myself and the kids. I do some translating, which is what I've been doing mostly for the past 5 years.
Mhm.
And in the past year, suddenly most of my translation clients just disappeared. I don't know why. I have some all sorts of theories, but basically, and that sort of put me on this situation of ooh, I need to come up with something else fast. And so now I'm working for this real estate development project in El Ciruelo, which
Okay.
is just 5 minutes east of Venao.
Yep.
And
It's like the next little village right next door to
Yeah.
Venao. I know many people, some people walk it. I think that's a little bit aggressive, but
Yeah.
they kind of shuttle or
yeah,
Or-
it's a 5-minute drive.
yeah, it's a 5-minute drive. So I've given many people rides there and vice versa. I've hung my thumb out in El Ciruelo to get a ride into Venao, and it's very easy to do that. So you're working out there. Which developer are you working for out there?
So the project is called Hermitage Hills.
Okay, Hermitage Hills.
Yeah, Hermitage Hills, and basically it's a one man who had a vision, and he bought the property, and then he's teamed up with a Colombian, but who's been here in Panama for over 20 years, with a lot of experience in the area, in construction, in how to get things done here, which is not so easy, as some of
Yeah.
you, as you might know. So it's really beautiful. It's on a hill. It's all terraced, so all the homes have ocean view. Nobody's going to block anybody's view.
Oh, that's amazing.
And I think this is what was okay, I can work in real estate here. It's the only spot on this whole strip of the peninsula where you can see the sunrise out of the ocean.
Wow.
So that's pretty magical,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I've seen that location for Hermitage Hills. And just so I spell this correctly, it's HERMITAGE
Yes.
Hills.com.
Yes. Well, the website is hermitage-hills.com.
Okay, so hermitage-hills.com.
Yes.
And you can see some pretty amazing pictures
Yeah.
and views. And if you're just looking for more credible sources on living in Playa Venao, that could be a good website that you go to and learn a little bit more about Playa Venao.
Yeah. I mean, we're actually working on the website now to have it more full with more information.
Right.
But you can definitely see the views. And I mean, I think for anybody who's looking to relocate here,
Yeah.
obviously in Venao, there's more and more offer and supply of different options. And I think for some people, Venao is ideal.
Yeah.
But I think for many people, being close to Venao but not in Venao is even better.
Yes.
And Ciruelo is a 5-minute drive. I live in Cañas.
Yep. That's a 10-minute drive from
Which is
Venao.
a 10-15-minute drive from Venao, which is also super close.
Yeah.
But this particular project, I mean, it's not for everybody, but everybody has their different needs. It's a gated community. The construction team is top-notch, probably the best construction team in the area because they have 15 years experience working
Wow.
on other projects of multi-million-dollar homes, more towards
So
Bella
these
City.
are high-end homes.
These are high-end homes.
These are very high-end
These are high-end homes.
Okay.
With a construction team that can actually deliver high-end.
Gotcha.
Because there's all sorts right now going. And these are people that I can really vouch for.
Yeah.
That it's high-end homes with a construction team that can deliver what we are offering, basically.
Outstanding.
So yeah, those are the two things that made me be like, okay, I can get into real estate.
Yeah.
Like this, I can do it, because
it's-
I can stand behind it.
Yeah, and it's fun. I think it's fun. It's interesting meeting people when they come down here and they want to start to build a life down here.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
those are
I
some
agree.
of the most fun people in the world. And I think about everybody that reached out to me when we first moved here. You were one of them. You were one of them. And it's just, it's fun meeting new people like that. And you're at the gateway
Yeah.
for that. The gateway
Yeah.
for people starting their Central American adventure.
Yeah. And it's kind of fun because, I mean, I've been here since 2008. So I know this area and I know all the people and at least the people who've been here for a while. And so I think I'm a credible source
Yeah.
of information.
Yeah.
And I'm
Definitely.
Panamanian, so I speak the local language and not just the words.
Yeah.
Like,
So can people, like, if somebody had like a day of business that they had to do, like, let's say somebody had like a really important day of business, could somebody hire you for the day to do document translation or to help with any type of communication issues or anything like that? Is that something that you would consider, or is that kind of a case by case?
document translation for sure.
Yep.
If it's like going with somebody to do their business, I mean, I'm kind of expensive.
Okay. But you're good.
I'm kind of expensive and I currently do have a job.
Okay.
Whereas before I was fully freelance, so I would have said absolutely yes.
Gotcha.
Now, but I'm not close to anything.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, like I think it's
Okay.
more of a case by case
Okay.
scenario.
So if people reach out to us at the show and they want to get in touch with you,
Yeah.
we're okay to forward that
Yeah.
information on
Definitely,
to you?
definitely.
Okay. I don't want to put all your private information out into the world quite yet, because I don't want you to get bombarded with things while you're trying to, do your work for Hermitage Hills. But at the same time, too, there's also some people that are probably like, ooh, I have a question, I have a need,
And I can also point them in the right direction.
Outstanding.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been great. Ben, thank you so much for coming on our show.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
This is so fun.
Ben, did I miss anything? Like, my notes blew away. So
No, I think we touched on so much. I didn't know about the children's book. That's amazing. I mean, I knew a little bit that you were working on something like that, but that was incredible. And then obviously all your interpretation is just always just phenomenal. And I didn't know about the work with the real estate development. That's amazing. You have an incredible family.
Yeah.
Listening about everywhere you lived in the world and getting your outlook on that has been an amazing having this interview with you. So thank you so much.
and thank you for raising amazing kids. Thank you for
Yeah.
because, like, Gustav went and got Charlie's board. Like, that means the world to me. And that's just not the only time that I've seen your kids do amazing things. Like when they were doing there was kind of an emergency turtle hatching going on down at Save the Turtles. And Gustav had been part of Save the Turtles for like 3 different classes. So he's completely certified on turtle hatching. And he grabbed myself and Charlie. It's like, hey, do you guys want to be part of an emergency turtle hatching right now? We got to get 300 turtles down to the beach, like stat. And we were like, yes. So, I mean, this kid is a leader. I mean, he's a leader at the age of 15, you know, helping get these turtles down to the ocean by just actively problem solving in the moment and not thinking about it, not getting too overwhelmed by it, just saying, hey, we need help. I need to help. Let's jump in. So thank you for doing that because your kids are absolutely awesome.
Thank you. I mean, I actually have a resistance to taking any credit for that.
Well, that's a good sign of a good parent. So
mostly because I just feel that they were born like that.
Well,
you know, like it's one of the things I never cease to be impressed by newborns. You know, they're these tiny little things that are just kind of weird looking, really, for the most part. I mean, we think they're cute, but they're kind of weird looking. And they are already as they will be later.
Yeah.
As you are now, as I am now. Like they have all that information and their personality and their character and their passion and their curiosity. It's all in there already. And then it just starts to reveal itself as they start to talk and as they, I mean, even from when, like, from the moment, Gustav, when he was born, he was a home birth. And he was like, we took him to the pediatrician a couple days later. And he was just moving his arms and his legs like crazy. And the doctor was like, oh, he's really active. And me being clueless, I'm like, they're not all like that. And he's like, oh, no. No, they're not all like that. And he's still like that.
Oh,
he's not flailing aimlessly, but he's on the go.
Yeah, for sure.
All the time.
For sure. For
he
sure.
beats me up in jiu-jitsu multiple times a week. And he's 15. I'm 36.
He beats us all up at jiu-jitsu a little bit, but you guys have done a great job. You and Nico have done a great job with Goose and Gallia, so congratulations. That's cool.
Thank you.
But thank you for coming on the show. Can we bring you back in, say, like 90 days, 6 months, and you can tell us about some of your other adventures?
Sure.
I'd love to put the link to the book, the Amazon link to your book.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I'm definitely picking one up because Sal likes to read books with me. So that sounds super fun.
Yeah, it's so fun. Cool. It is pretty fun.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Oh, great. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great. Oh, this has been awesome. Thank you, Sarah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, my big headphones.
That's all right.
Dude, and we're back. We're back. Dude, that was a good interview.
So many beautiful, amazing, interesting, talented people.
Dude, I'm so jealous of people that could speak languages like that.
It just blows my mind, you know? And every time we talk to people, I'm always just blown away by how many things they've done, all their talents, their incredible heart and creativity. It's amazing. You know, I'm just so blessed to meet all these people, hear about their lifestyles, meet their families, live with their families on this incredible beach. It's been awesome.
You know, and honestly, none of this would have happened at all if we wouldn't have just started talking to strangers.
Yeah.
You know, like just talking to strangers. I know that I met you and your family on the beach one day because I was picking up trash on the beach. You were picking up trash on the beach. We were strangers, but we were like, oh, that person's pretty cool. That person's pretty cool. And we just started talking.
That's right.
And I don't know, like, I think talking to strangers can be a really good thing sometimes.
For sure. Absolutely.
So if you're ever in Playa Venao on vacation, make sure to talk to some strangers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And everyone here is very open to a conversation. You know, I think you're going to hear some really interesting stories if you open up and allowed to, you know, to meet people. People.
I think so. It's pretty cool. So anything, I guess we'll wrap up the show. What's going on this week in Playa Venao? I'll tell you what I'm going to do tonight. This is what I'm doing tonight. I am, after jiu-jitsu tonight, because it's no-gi jiu-jitsu tonight, I'm going to have dinner with you and your family.
Absolutely.
At El Sitio.
Right here. That's it.
We are actually having it at El Sitio. And just so the audience knows, El Sitio doesn't know that we're giving them a commercial.
Yeah.
El Sitio doesn't know that we're going there for dinner. We're going there because it's that good. We're going out of pocket and we're going there for dinner tonight.
For sure.
And then after dinner tonight at El Sitio, I'm taking my wife down to Beach Break Pizza Gavilon because they have salsa night tonight at Pizza Gavilon. So we're going to be listening to some Latin music down there after Sitio.
Salsa night is awesome.
Yes. So that is going to be our Tuesday night.
Nice.
What are you doing this week? Anything
Just
else?
real quick, you know the bird on that sign, Gavilon?
Yeah.
That's a Gavilon bird, apparently?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. See,
I
like
think-
I'm learning stuff all the time. I didn't know that. So that's why it's called that. That's why the bird.
Yeah.
Anyways, yes, salsa night, amazing. My kids love it.
Yeah.
And there's people there that can show you the dance moves too. Don't let that deter you from not going. I didn't know a lick of salsa. And
I didn't either. Like
still
I
just
felt
got, like,
silly there.
the
You
one
just
little movement going,
Yeah, you
yeah.
just do like the little beat.
You're
And then
there.
if you want to like this is the good like beat
Yeah.
spot. And then if you want to get like a little crazy, you can do a little bit more.
But you can stay in just this
or you
world
can
if
just
you want
stay
to.
and you can just stay and get your little groove on. You can even do like a sitting dance. Like if you don't want to
That's it.
like get on your feet, you can just be like,
Just
yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
usually it's always a live band.
Yeah.
Which makes it that much more fun. So
Yeah, you come check us out dancing tonight at Pizza Gavilon.
Yeah.
And if you want something great to eat, check out that place. And if you want to stay somewhere cool, rent that like lighthouse tower out. Like I would love it if somebody rented out that lighthouse tower and then invited me to go take pictures
Yeah,
of it
yeah,
up there
right.
because it looks pretty cool.
I think
But-
Honor might try to do a music video up there one day. We're like, that'd be a pretty cool
Oh, that
spot.
would
We'll
be
see.
good.
We'll see.
That would be good. So, anything else going on this week? Anything you got
No,
going
I think
on?
Carnavales is just kind of wrapping up, so we still have a lot of tourists on the beach, so I'm sure there's still going to be some cool events. I haven't checked to see exactly which place is doing which events, but it almost seems like during this time of year, something is happening at each spot, you know? So
Yeah.
you can kind of just wander the beach and be like, what's going on here? What's going on here? Type thing. And, you know, plug into whatever you feel like plugging
Yeah.
into. So,
Yeah, I think that's right. Everybody's kind of gearing up right now. They're getting ready for Reactor,
yes.
which is that big music festival that's coming in April, and we'll talk more about that.
Yeah, we'll have a
Maybe.
Soph on the show, and he can talk about Reactor, which is one of the this place here at El Sitio is where they do one of the nights with the DJs and the wellness and all of that, and kind of hear his vision behind that.
Oh, that would be great.
But yeah, that happens in April.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good, cool. Well, come on down. Listen, if you're bored, you got nothing going on this week, come on down to Playa Venao. Come hang out with us. We'd love to see you. And thanks for tuning into the show.
Yes.
And if you'd like to be on the show, or if you know somebody that lives in the area that you'd like to be on the show, reach out to us in our comment section on YouTube
Yeah.
or on Instagram, Playa Venao Show at Instagram. We'd love to talk with you and whatnot. So,
Absolutely.
all right.
Thanks,
Well,
guys.
Thanks, guys.
Till
Thanks
next
for
time.
tuning in. Next time.